Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. Pat, would you do our invocation, please?
Sure. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessing of this day. Lord, sometimes we get distracted by things around us like elections and pandemics, and we forget to be thankful for all the blessings that you bestow on us each day. Forgive us when we allow the circumstances of life to overshadow our thankfulness to you. Circumstances change, but you do not. You are faithful and true. Your promises never fail. You work all things for our good. You are in control. Our hope and our joy, Lord, is in you and you alone. I ask that you bless our children, Lord. Sometimes we fail to see the needs because affected by the trauma that they have, and just open our eyes and our hearts to the needs of the children in this system. We ask that you be with us in our meeting tonight. Bless us and help us to glorify you in all that we do and say. For we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pat. Let's stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I have a motion for approval of tonight's open and closed agendas?
I make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Ruth. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Dr. Brickman, would you give us your superintendent's report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you know, we had our work discussion or our work session several minutes ago, and we're blessed to have with us tonight Mr. Tom Ramsey, who's joining us and going to be a visitor and a viewer. He's on the other side of this wall right now. He has been working with us under contracted services to try to help us in terms of our high school project, and he has already provided tremendous insight, suggestions, and recommendations to the administration and to this board. So we're glad to have Mr. Ramsey with us tonight. Also, recently noted was the appointments of Dr. Jamie Johnson to the principalship at Cranberry Middle School. He will be in that transition this week to officially start next Monday in this new role. In addition to Dr. Johnson picking up Cranberry Middle School, we have Ms. Whitney Vance, who is going to assume the leadership role at Riverside Elementary School. So I'm excited to work with these two administrators in their new respective roles. Also, I want to commend Ms. Stephanie White on a job well done over the past year in her board secretary and administrative assistant role. Her tolerance for the superintendent is very good, and but she has really done a remarkable job, and she has agreed to go in and take over in human resources and work with Mr. Brown, and we are going to welcome Ms. Rachel Ferguson to this new leadership role, or this administrative assistant role. She will start the 23rd of this month, so I look forward to working with Ms. Ferguson, and we welcome her aboard. And as speaking of the week of Thanksgiving, it's right around the corner. We're first going to recognize our veterans tomorrow. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and we're very blessed in this great country to call it home and also to practice this level of democracy in terms of educating our children throughout the county and throughout the state and this nation. It didn't happen by accident. It took a lot of sacrifice from a lot of people who have committed time, energy, and also paid the ultimate sacrifice to make sure that we're guaranteed our freedoms that we celebrate tomorrow in recognizing our veterans. So I hope you'll take time to thank a veteran sometime tomorrow. Also, we will be celebrating Thanksgiving, opening up with an optional teacher workday. We have transitioned that from a remote learning optional day to an optional teacher workday on November 25th, followed by Thanksgiving holidays, the 26th and 27th of this month. And that's only a little over 2 weeks away, so it's right around the corner. Following our Thanksgiving break, we will have our next regular meeting on December 8th, and then we will finish up first semester, and the Christmas break will start on December 18th. So it'll be an early dismissal that day. So the semester is quickly passing by, and Christmas is right around the corner. So with that said, that concludes the superintendent's update. We'll get into recognitions.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll go ahead and
We are blessed with great students in Avery County, and we are here to celebrate a graduate who is a member of the class of 2020. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You just recently graduated, and how did you like that ceremony? Did you get to participate on Grandfather
Yes,
Night?
sir.
Well, that was a remarkable ceremony for us, and I think you have two visitors or two gentlemen with you that's going to have a recognition to you once again for a significant accomplishment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so which one of you two gentlemen would like to start off?
If I can take the mask off, I'll start.
All right, come on over here. Come on up for a little bit. We'll do the plaque first.
okay. Chris Avery County Schools would like to recognize Chris Calhoun for receiving the Civilian Marksmanship Distinguished Badge, November 10th, 2020. We're very proud of you, and you've made us all proud, so congratulations.
I think Major Mandy's gonna talk a little bit about the badge and what it means.
This is badge 1491. It's engraved. It's 1491. It's been given since 1906, so they don't give them out too freely. You've got to have 35 points. 25 can be local and state matches, but the last 10 points are gold points, and they need to be awarded or achieved at national level events. Chris has shot the nationals several times with us, and this became a little bit in doubt with the weather last year. We missed 2 critical matches. Then we had the corona, but Chris has never faltered or never gave up. He stuck, and we've made it enough matches and found him that he succeeded. And Chris has finished his NRA coaching certification. It says there, and like everything else, he finished his Eagle Scout, so he's a great young man representing.
Aim small, miss small. It's a good way to set goals for the rest of your life, Mr. Cullen.
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's right. Chris, do you wanna recognize who you have with you tonight?
I've got my parents and then my little sister with me here tonight.
All
Well,
right.
did good.
Thank you, and God bless you. Any comments, Chris? You wanna say anything?
No?
We welcome you back home, okay? Welcome back to Avery County Schools, and we're proud of you. Keep
Thank
up the good work, okay?
Thank
God
you.
bless
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Dr. Brigham, in light of it being Veterans Day, we want to thank you fellows, Sergeant Coleman, Major Mackey, for your service, as well as Dr. Brigham. He is also a veteran, so we appreciate the service you've done for our country. Again, like Dr. Brigham said, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for our veterans. So we'll give you a round of applause.
Been our privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Stephanie, can you make sure that door stays open?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Straighten me out. Try to straighten me out.
Get you out triple.
I'll do it, no trouble.
Sandy's on finished.
You
That's
got
right.
that right. Okay, we can post comments, and I don't think we have any, sir.
Yes. Okay, we will move on for policies for first reading.
How about cover the dates, so you're-
Right, yes, sir. Okay. We had 6 policies for first reading that you may have had a chance to look at. Dr. Brigham, was there anything that stood out to you that we may have missed in going over those ourselves?
the first reading.
Yes, I
I
think
noticed
they were
most
just-
of them are related to the COVID issues that we have. One's the school safety, and we're pretty much ahead of that policy by restricting anyone from the outside to come in, and that's the school safety policy. We're kind of a step ahead of that policy.
Can you just at least say out loud the change that's gonna be for the attendance, because I think that's going to, I think we're doing it anyway, but let's just. make sure.
Absolutely. That change that Ms. Bumgarner's referencing is on policy 4400, and it is regarding temporary rule for attendance on remote instruction days. To be counted present during remote instruction days, students must either, one, complete their daily assignments either online or offline, or two, have a daily check-in through two-way communication with the homeroom or advisory teacher for grades K through 8, or the course teacher for all grade levels. This temporary rule will remain in effect until repealed by the board or until the applicable guidance from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction is rescinded, whichever occurs first. Thank you for pointing that out.
What does it mean by two-way communication?
That's another
What's
great question.
acceptable?
It could be phone communication, it could be email, text, Zoom meetings.
Has to
so-
be acknowledged on both ends.
Yes, sir. It has to be acknowledged on both ends of that communication. And I put out a memo to all the principals the other day. There has to be ongoing communications and dialogue between that student and that teacher, especially on those remote learning days. Teachers will know who their most needy percentage of students are that they need to remain in contact with for that additional guidance.
Does that need to be documented daily?
Yes, ma'am. They need to keep a contact log. Yes, ma'am, daily.
And that's listed in Power School, Dr. Regan? Is that in Power School, that, once that communication's there, did the teachers put that in Power School? And that,
I would think they have access to record that in Power
Our
School.
school would be
Yes,
aware
ma'am.
of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
thank you, Dr.
Yes, ma'am. And then the other policy is 5020 or 5020, visitors to the schools. Again, like I alluded to earlier, visitors will not be allowed access to school buildings before, during, or after the school day when school is in session. And we're kind of ahead of that curve there. We immediately, August 17th, restricted anyone from the outside coming in to try to limit the threat of outside exposure coming into buildings. And then I think 6305, it's a temporary requirement, and it also, it recognizes the transportation restrictions during the pandemic. And we have to make sure that the students and vehicles adhere to any requirements placed on the school system by DHHS related to student transportation services. Okay. And then the other policies are for second reading, so I'll answer any questions regarding first reading recommendations. And those did come from Chris Campbell's office. He's fed those and recommend the board approve first and second reading on those.
I make a motion to approve them.
Okay. Oh,
We're just doing the
First reading.
oh,
the second reading
Yeah,
is
we
one
can-
word.
Second reading.
Yes.
okay, we have two policies for second reading.
Which were the
Roll
two?
call.
And-
Title IX sexual harassment.
Okay.
Yeah, both are Title IX sexual harassment, so,
And the changes came through the references on both of those. The references are what we're updating on. So I recommend the board approve those two for second reading.
okay. Could I have a motion for approval of policies for second reading?
So moved.
Thank you, Pat, second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jane, all in favor, aye? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next we have our Crossmore Roof Project update.
Yes, welcome,
Welcome back.
welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me. I've got a progress report. It's on paper, and I know that's kind of taboo. But I made sure everybody has hardly been touched by anybody, so.
And if you come stand right here so that everybody can get you, okay?
I see it every day of my life.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just gonna go through this point by point,
All right.
in a hurry.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
The contract time, the job officially started on August the 3rd. The contract time is 120 days, which puts the completion date at December the 1st. I have a change order request, and it's attached to this. And it explains why he wanted some more time. And what it basically all boils down to is, we made a change. We had a pre-construction meeting, we selected gray as the color, and the principal wanted to have green as the trim, and so that didn't get communicated to the contractor until about 2 weeks later, and he explains all that in his change order request form. And it delayed this material delivery by about 30 days. Is what it all boils down to. And I would recommend that we give him those 30 days because he has been pursuing it.
Is there an additional cost?
No.
Okay.
No
Yeah,
additional-
you're good.
Given the time of year, we've given him so many days that he has to build into his contract. But given the time of year, he may ask for more days, and we'll address those in courts with the contract and make a recommendation. But if it's okay with y'all, Jeffrey, I'm gonna sign that and get you to sign it, then I'll take it back and I'll make distribution of that change order.
They'll have to approve it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I recommend we approve the request for extension of 30 days in terms of the change order presented.
Thank you. Could I have a motion for approval of the change order that, Mr. Hall and Dr. Brigham has recommended?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Kathy. Second?
Second. Sorry.
That's okay.
Pat Ruth, thank you.
That's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. That puts the completion date December 30th. 31st.
Yeah.
We'll keep up with it.
Right in there somewhere.
All of the existing roof has been removed and the waterproofing membrane's been put into place. Approximately 40% of the new roof panels have been installed, and the flashings are being, by necessity, have to be installed as the job progresses. So right now, 40% of the new roof's on. He started at the more difficult areas where there's a lot of dormer roofs sticking out and that sort of thing. We feel like that, weather permitting, he's gonna be finished on time. The third bullet is contractor compliance with specification, and to date, there's been a couple of issues. When they first started, the crew wasn't making the kind of progress we thought they should make. We had a meeting with Cityscape, and they changed the crew out, and since that time, the job schedule has improved.
Thank you for taking action.
Well, you're welcome.
This job.
During the course of the project, the building's not 100% exactly square. And you have to kind of take that into consideration when you're putting square panels down on an unsquare surface. And they got a couple of sections about the size of this room. They got them a little bit out of line. We said, you should have measured it before you started because you can make adjustments. And so we went over that with them, and they took the panels up, made the adjustments, and everything's the way it should be. We had a couple of leaks where they didn't get the waterproofing membrane down. I think that has been addressed. I don't think we're gonna have a whole lot more problems with that. We haven't heard of any, but we had one issue where, somebody got in a hurry and didn't get something sealed. In general, this contractor has addressed his, all requests by us satisfactorily, and, we appear to be headed toward a satisfactory on-time conclusion. We got a pre-bid meeting the other day for the plumbing work, and our discussion with Jeffrey and Mike is we feel like we probably ought to wait till summertime to do that. During the pre-bid meeting, we were looking at the interior courtyard there, and we asked the contractor to give us an alternate bid for a retaining wall, so that, because it's so steep in there, I don't know if y'all are familiar with that or not, but retaining walls and that sort of thing in there. And we, you know, like I say, they're gonna give us an alternate bid for that. And at that time, next month, we have progress meeting, maybe we can discuss that. Bids are due November 20th. I have the write-ups on the drainage. We had the original documents, and then we have some new documents, if anybody wants to see them. But I have
We
5 copies
appreciate
over there
you.
if y'all want to see them.
I wouldn't understand them if I saw it.
That's all I have. Anybody got any questions?
No, thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for coming up
Appreciate you
tonight.
Thank you,
coming.
Mr. Smith. All right. Next we have, Mr. Rob Johnson with us for an update on the high school project. Welcome, Rob.
Good evening, how are y'all?
Good.
There's the, already, the agenda that talks about 200 or whatever you're on about.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't understand
You
you.
probably want to take the mask down.
No, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson has responded to our inquiry about the possibility and the rationale behind keeping the 200 pond. That came about following a request from the high school to consider that for additional auxiliary space and storage or whatever that space may be utilized for in the future. Mr. Johnson spent some time doing some due diligence on that study, and I think he's gonna outline some numbers that you were presented to me yesterday. I think I received your November 9th memo, so Mr. Johnson, thank you for being here.
It is nice to be here. We, it's been a fair amount of work on this because it sounds easy, let's just leave it rather than tear it down, but in that you're midway in construction, but we did end up getting from Branch, Mike Love is here with me. He's, good job, as I've introduced him before, a thing that is positive about him, he's a senior guy, but he's offering support both to the field superintendent and the project manager, so to me, that's a good thing to have, for where we are in this job. Getting back to the 200, we did receive a nice outline from Branch that really which made sense by their subcontractors, which really is also correlates to the scope impacts. So looking at the demolition itself, the masonry, the steel, canopies, concrete, obviously paving, the grading sub is a big piece of it, and then the mechanical. They did the outline. They only had a couple numbers. Well, over the weekend we took it upon ourselves out of respect because we wanted to answer what we had been asked to answer on time, and we added a right column. It was not difficult for us to offer our professional opinion of what these costs are. And so the executive summary, if you go through and add the red numbers being the deducts, they total $121,000. And the blue numbers being the adds, they total $53,000. And so the one question that still hasn't been answered, which we understand is a little bit of hard, that when you leave the dirt there, it's higher. We had anticipated on it being cut. And in storm drainage, you have an outfall, and then trying to drain the water from back behind the school around to the front left of the school, the pitch obviously of the storm drainage is really critical. So at this point, without having done engineering drawings yet, we're not sure of what inverts at the bottom of the manhole that stair steps and lets the water run off by gravity. So I'm concerned about the storm drainage trench will be a little deeper because we're not cutting the soil anymore. So just out of professional courtesy, put one question mark there. The requirement for trench boxes, which they use, is still unknown. But if you take the current difference, it's in the $67,000 range for a deduct or a credit for leaving that 200 building.
And that doesn't include remodeling the inside of that?
It's just leaving the interior as is.
Yeah.
That's a big piece of the information. We did a cover letter that had, we just took Dr. Brigman's wonderfully organized bullet points and questions that we went item by item. And then the other item was the professional fees. And we got from our civil is a big piece, and mechanical electrical, they gave us their detailed scope of work, and we consolidated that. And those lump sum fees are in the $11,000 for civil, $5,360 for plumbing, mechanical, electrical. And we have a lot of time in it, but we're not really charging. But we did include for ourselves a small $2,400. We have a lot of coordinators. In fact, you do it. We'll have to do drawings. We've already spent a fair amount of time, which again, we're not charging. We're in this job to close on a positive note. So those fees total $18,760.
Are we ready for recommendations?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I recommend that we maintain the progress and the scope of the project as presented and previously approved by contract, and not allow any further delays or changes to this project because we need to get it done. I also received from Mr. Johnson an updated timeline, which is now stating that it's supposed to be on the roof January 1st, 2021, which was previously Thanksgiving. I also have received an update that the permanent dry end is mid-January, January 15th, 2021. I think we will abandon the idea of leaving the 200 model, holding them accountable for moving this project forward as presented and approved by contract, and that's my recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Do we
I
have,
agree, we couldn't agree with you more. The,
That's obvious.
the schedule we received yesterday, Monday, we expected to get it last week. We had to infill the dates verbatim. We didn't have time, we scrutinized it today. There's a lot of garbage in there. Mike's gonna testify to that. We've asked for him, the executive, the highest executive branch, and their senior management to clean that up. They've committed to these computerized schedules. It can be your friend or it can be your worst enemy. I apologize for having to put those dates in there we got from them, but we don't own those numbers. They came from that contractor. They're committed to clean those up. So, hate time was real tight, but they say they're gonna have that done Friday for our progress meeting, which we'll look at then, but after that, we respectfully request meeting, if it's available for you, Jeff, or whoever wants to join in with the senior most executive people and brainpower branch first of next week, so we can understand that, we were sick to our gut too when we saw those dates, because we've got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and pride. We know we're committed to Avery County. We want to work in this area. We want to tell your neighbors that we generally do what we say we're gonna do, so.
Rob, did they say, what's pushing it back? I mean, where,
I'll be honest, the schedule itself, every item in our schedule that has several hundred items on it, they're all linked to other items. And to be completely honest with you, our links are just wrong. It's not that our schedule has really pushed. Like, we're still on date. I know we gave a date for December 8th to be under roof that week. We're still actually on schedule for that. The schedule we gave you just doesn't depict that because there's errors in our schedule, and that's what we've been working on this week. So it's not really that everything is pushed that far. We just have errors, and you hit one item, that might affect another 40 items. That might affect the rest of the schedule, and so we're going through item by item, and we'll be done with it. Our last call is Thursday, and it's an all-day call to finish going through the rest of the items in that schedule and have it by the OAC meeting. So it's not that everything's actually pushed. We just have errors in our schedule with our successors and predecessors for our schedule.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Last time we were told that we needed to approve a change order in order to not stop the progress on the building with that other drive. Nothing's been done to that. So how are we gonna stop the building and the movement going on, and yet nothing's happened in that area?
You need to address that with the subcontractor, yes.
Are you the daddy? Are you his daddy, or are you kinda over him?
No. We are both under direct
It's the
contract to this
subcontractor.
Board of Education.
Okay. Honey, who's your daddy? We need to find out from daddy why he's not getting this done.
For him, it's just a manpower issue for him. He's had a couple of hits with the COVID on his crews, and he is gonna be here next week to start. I spoke to him this morning. I wasn't aware that he wasn't already here until I got up here this morning and spent the day on the job. And so I made the phone call, and he will be here beginning of next week.
Well, we discussed all this the last time because that we didn't feel like we had enough men on the property, that if he needed to pull somebody off some other jobs to meet our guidelines or whatever needed to be done. And I promise, we're not being hard to get along
He's
with.
not a big enough company. He only has 2 crews. So he
Well,
can't.
he needs to buy him a crew.
Which crew is this that we're talking
Yeah, which
about?
crew is this we're talking?
This is, the
The
grading,
grading
Ray
contractor.
Smith
But
grading.
what, I'm talking about all of it in general.
So the reason the driveway's not been done is because they're
Well,
several
the
of the
grade
not showed
manpower
up.
to do
The
it.
subcontractor has not shown up.
Has not
He's
shown
not
up.
shown.
Has he
Okay.
been given a 72-hour notice?
He has been given a notice, yes.
When was that given to him?
there was one given last week, and when I spoke to him this morning, I was gonna give him a notice of default if they weren't here Monday. And then, I have another company out of Charlotte that I've worked with in the past that we can bring up as well.
Perfect.
Good.
Thank you.
What about the windows? Window frames on site yet?
The windows are 4-week lead time. They came and measured them, end of last week. So they should be about 3.5 weeks and they should be here. That's not the entire building, that's the ones that we can go ahead and measure. And the ICF guy will be here in a week and a half. We're gonna guarantee the rest of the measurements, cause he's the one that's selling all the exterior stuff. And then, so those will be, so half the building will be done in about 3.5 weeks they'll start, and then about a week and a half lag, the rest of them should be in.
We were told at our joint meeting back in September that Dave Olson was gonna order those window frames at that time, and we've not even measured. I'm at a loss. I don't understand. It's winter. I mean, how you gonna secure that? How you gonna lock up that building or keep the cold out of that building while we're trying?
We have provisions in their contract for temporary, stuff to go in all the holes, so we can heat the building and be able to seal it up and make it watertight, even if the windows aren't in.
But that didn't need to be an issue.
It's not an issue.
It is for us.
I mean, as far as having them ordered and that kind of thing is what we were wondering, because as Dr. Brigman was saying, I mean, and you guys are just happen to be here, so we're not, I mean, just come down the aisle, but it seems like we come to the agreements just long enough to get the meeting done, and then it sits there. And I know there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, a lot of moving parts, and graders not showing up and that y'all have no control over. You can't go commandeer them and make them be on the job, but it just seems like there's a lot of things that we agree, okay, we're behind, but here's what we're gonna do to do it, and then that doesn't happen, and then we come to the next meeting, well, we're still behind there, hadn't done that, and that, I guess that's where we're just getting a little frustrated and disappointed. We just think, I mean, we want, as we've talked, Rob, we want to see a roof on that building. I mean, that, just so, because living in Avery County, we know what we're in for this winter. Generally, even on the best, if we don't get a lot of snow, we'll probably get a lot of rain, unless it's just very atypical.
We
winter.
started putting some of the roofing on today, actually, the roof decking on the side closest to the football field.
Yeah.
And the gym, so some of that actually started going on today. So we're starting to wrap ourselves around to the center.
Yeah, that's, I mean, as long as, if you can get it under roof and work inside, then it's not an issue, but we know, we've seen building projects in Avery County happen before every one of us, and experienced them personally, most likely, but, that's where our concern is that it's gonna keep sitting there and nothing appears to be getting done. There may be a lot going on that we don't see, but what we see and what the community sees is, it looks the same as it did in September, almost, you know.
I would love if we could set up a site visit maybe and walk you around and to show you what all is going on, because a lot of it right now is the inside, the CMU walls inside and stuff that you can't see from the road.
We would love to do that, just make sure you have hard hats.
We delivered, I think 12 hard hats and
They're
vests
here.
and stuff.
They're here.
Okay, great.
So you're saying now that we'll be under roof by December the 8th?
The week of the 8th, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's good.
That would be,
And I'm sorry you got caught in the crossfire.
That's okay, that's.
You should wait till the
That's
boss
what I
come up.
I'm a little concerned about the mud, because, you know, last year we got into that with the mud and stuff like that, and we're getting to the point where we can't do anything about that pretty soon. What are we gonna do with that, as far as paving and things like that? You know, because last year y'all nearly shut down because of the mud there.
Right, and they didn't have the site ready. We've compacted the site, and I know it'll still get a little muddy, but it's not gonna be anywhere close to what it was last year. And it's Ray Smith again, and we have asked to have it at least stoned at a minimum. And, again, that's what they're coming for next week, but that's not really a high priority, because we can still get all of our stuff in there, and we can put stuff in place to where mud doesn't get in the building. I mean, there's flooring going on, and we gotta clean it before we put it down anyways, but, the priority right now for branch builds is under roof, and then once it's under roof and we're dried in, 100 days to finish. is what we're shooting for.
Okay, sounds better than it did.
The roof is long awaited.
Yeah.
Y'all have been more, with all sincerity, y'all have been more than patient.
So you do know our next board meeting is December 8th.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's gonna be
We're
perfect.
gonna have it up there on the roof, right?
So
Somebody's looking out.
I think I know
Be
where
good
we'll
day
have
for
our
a
meeting.
tour.
Yes,
Yeah.
the work session will be a tour.
Yeah, tour.
We would love to have another tour.
We will arrange that between now and December 8th. Okay?
Thank you.
It'll be a joint tour, and we'll invite the commissioners to join us as well.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I don't know how you all feel about this inquiry into keeping the pod or abandoning that concept, but we do need minutes to reflect the board's desire to have no further changes to the scope of that project and to move forward. I don't think it takes board action, but just
Yeah.
clarifying the minutes.
Go.
We're moving on.
We appreciate the work you did.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
thank
thank
you
you
both.
So the site is gonna be graded.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on.
As original.
Thank you.
Rich, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had high hopes for that 200 pod, but that may have just all, been all there was hope, but, all right. Any other questions for Rob or Mike? Gentlemen, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch after the other architect.
Thank you, and I think.
Contractor, on Friday.
Okay.
Again, Lawson's out. Apologize, it made me sick to my stomach to have to send that, and then today sitting in the garbage. We had heart talks, and, we're hopeful this gentleman can rectify it, but
Yeah.
first of the week, we, with all sincerity, the top people and the senior people of Branch have to get with it.
Yeah.
We've got to get that roof on. If not, I'll send you a note that, if we were to portray that, not only in this phase two, but what they're portraying in 3, 4, and 5 extends way further out than anybody wants. But there's 6 figures of ramifications for their ledger if that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you all.
I appreciate it.
Accountability there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Val.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right now. We'll get it done back to James.
Exactly.
We'll move on to our Eddy County High School construction change order number 9, and have Jeff with us. Jeff, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
If you'll recall from our last meeting, we had 2 change orders on the agenda, and one of them was money, one of them was time. We tabled the one that dealt with time to this meeting, and so that's what change order number 9 is. We've brought it back before you. And ultimately, what the contractor is requesting is a change order to extend their contract a total of 155 days from where we stand presently. And just to give you a rundown of what those days, where they come from, 77 of them, half of those days are due to the soil milling. And we talked about the soil milling until everybody in this room, I believe, has become an expert on what soil milling is. But, and ultimately, where that comes from is from the initial date that they began pricing the soil mill project on July 31st until it was completed on October 15th in 77 days. And even though the project continued, they're still saying that because it was in the core area, that is one of the reasons they're seeing so much with delay today, is it's caused them to have to move here, move there, change things around. And I'm just the messenger on that. They originally had asked for about twice that number, and I jumped stumps over that. Dr. Brigman probably actually heard me on my side of the building to his side of the building when we got the email. So we thoroughly questioned them on the soil milling days. We asked for specific documentation as to why it's needed, where did it come from. And the one thing that was revealed in some of our meetings with them, that I wasn't even privy to, on, this, was that the project was never initially intended for them to dig out that entire area where the steps were.
What were they gonna do?
It was going to be a stepped slope, because it's backfill. That area, there's not a first floor there, so they were going to just pull the dirt out as needed, step into it. But when they got in there, the soil was not, the F&R, our inspection engineer group, when they came in, the soil wasn't compact, it wasn't of a grade that could be compacted, so you had to take more of it out. Then they'd come back and test. You have to take more, and ultimately what it ended up is that entire area had to be dug out. That's why it was not originally in the contract, that's why it wasn't in the plan, because their preliminary testing, the understanding and the assumption was they would be able to step into that area and not have to pull the dirt out.
It's that middle part there?
Yeah, basically where the ADA ramp and the steps going into the front office were. When we were told that was kind of like a light bulb moment for me, because, you know, I was under the impression that the whole time the plan was to go in there and dig all that out, and everybody's like, anybody would understand you got a 17-foot wall of dirt, you can't just leave it, you know. Well, that was not the intention. And so it was a change of scope, a change in the plan, and therefore they're contractually allowed the opportunity to request a change order on that. But that's only half of the days that they're requesting. The rest of them come to us through August of 2020, 34 weather days beyond what was allowed in the contract through the data that was accumulated and provided by NOAA weather. So they're requesting 34 days there. Boomerang and Pierre, our lead architect, he does have a document. I've not printed it and provided it to the board. We do have it, if you're interested in it. But they maintain a document of every time there is a request for weather. And they document, you know, is it rain, is it wind, is it, you know, snow, whatever conditions according to the contract that allow them to claim the day. So we do have that information available for you if you'd like it. They're only requesting 7 days due to COVID, based on all of the subcontractors that have had to come off of the job due to COVID. It's the total of time that they say they lost due to that is 7 days. There were 14 days that's in there because we've had to reroute the sewer lines from where the as-built plans that we have on file don't match what's in the ground. And so in them having to excavate and determine where piping is, there's 14 days there that they've been delayed trying to work around the sewer line.
Jeff, I don't mean to stop you right in the middle of that, and again, I'm no construction expert, but this is what we said all along, and you may, I'm not, I'm just asking, maybe somebody can answer this for me. When that happens, everything is not shutting down. They're still doing that. I mean, from a late construction person, I don't understand how we can be losing, for every day they count that they're doing, that they have to do something else. It's like everybody else goes to the house and they're just working on that one project. That's not what's happening, is it?
That's not what is happening, but the way I understand it, you have multiple activities occurring on the same day. And everything builds upon itself, and so you could have the grading contractor who is ultimately being delayed because of the sewer pipe. The masons are still working, but the masons get to a point where they can't complete what they're doing until this guy is able to complete what he's doing, or this one can't, So it gets very convoluted, very fit.
I understand.
And I understand what you're asking, and I have asked the same question, because it would make a lot more sense to me if it was just simply, the project shut down today.
Yeah.
And, you know, a weather day. Weather days make sense. Project shut down, that's a delay, that's a day. We need to write it on the books. But when you're dealing with the individual subcontractors and how that, you know, and Mike mentioned, you know, you've got a point in the schedule and that point is attached to 40 subpoints. And then those subpoints are attached to points as well. And you have an alteration in one area, it could trickle down and create a delay. Now, how they come up with that calculation,
Yeah.
I'm not a scheduler, I don't have that software, you know, so, and I fully understand what you're asking.
To me, what it seems like almost is, we've got this many days, we have to justify, we have to figure out how we can we're behind this many days. We gotta find out how we can tell them why we are. I
Right.
mean, that may or may not be the case, but it seems a little convoluted to me that all
And,
that comes, I mean, am I
No, you're
stupid
right.
in saying that, y'all?
I agree, I fully agree, and, but if you'd allow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For
Go
me,
ahead, I'll
just to finish.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Before I lose my train of thought, 3 days, you know, we talked about the roof leaders where when they cut into the front office, there was an empty space that they weren't aware of. It wasn't in the plans and they had to go in there and put leaders so that they could connect the new building to the old building. That was 3 days. The louver issue that we have in the boiler room, we talked about it last month, and you know, that cost us money because we had to change how the louver was designed and add a bigger hole. It required a bigger lintel, which was more money. Well, that was a 12-day delay. And then the steps coming out of the 100 pod, where the fire marshal required that we remove the concrete. We were going to go back with pressure treated lumber. That was what the plan was. But then the fire marshal stepped in and said, no, I'm not approving that, even though that's what was approved on the get-go. I'm not approving that. You've got to go back with concrete. So that was an 8-day delay, having to put those steps back. You know, all of that adds up to the 155 that they're asking for. Now, so going back to Chairman Green's comment, I don't understand the intricacies and how all of this, how it builds from one to the other. You're the board. You all have the ultimate authority whether you say, yes, I'm approving the change order. No, I'm not approving the change order. I'm going to approve the change order based on this number, not this number. You have the right to reject it and send it back, which we have done previously on some change orders. You know, all I'm doing is, you know, last month we tabled it simply because we didn't feel, and based on advice from council, we felt that the architect and the contractor had not provided us enough detail on what constituted a 77-day delay in soil milling. Well, they have since provided that detail. That's the 30-some pages that, you know, that's in your binder. According to our attorney, he looked over it and he said, I feel like they have supplied or satisfied what we asked for. So we put it back on the agenda tonight. That does not mean, and I am not standing here to say I am pushing for an approval. I'm presenting it as it's been presented to us. If you're not comfortable with it, you have the right as the board to table it to another time. You have the right to flat out reject it and say no. You have the right to approve it. You know, it's up to you. So
Pushes us to January 31st, is that correct?
yes, yes.
So currently we're at January 31st, less 40 days, so currently we're at December something, and this pushes us to January 31st.
It would, yes.
I have a problem with that.
January 31st to
21.
For what?
That's what that,
It's the extra
that's what
days.
these
Oh,
extra days
oh,
pushes us
it's-
to.
oh, yeah.
to
January
finish the
13th.
building?
No.
Contractually, what it
It's
would
supposed to be
do is,
finished a long time ago.
contractually, what this change order would do is on paper,
y'all.
It would say that they should be finished with this building January 31st.
Pushes us out 100
Now, we know that they're not going to be done with this building January 31st. They just said,
Yeah.
we'll have it under roof December 8th, and then we're pushing for a 100-day completion, right?
Yeah.
But if
So-
we add this, it's gonna be 140-day completion.
No, all
This
this
takes
is,
that in consideration.
I hope
Takes
it
that
does.
already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, these days are already factored into that December 8th and that 100-day completion goal that they have. They're just simply asking for the paperwork behind it
So that they're
to
not-
legally say contractually, we should have been out of your hair January 31st. Right, because within the contract, there are punitive damages. For every day that the contractor is late, the Board of Education has the right to sanction them. And I can't remember now off the top of my head what that dollar amount is, but you have that right. What this would do, if you approve it, it sets that date that they contractually should be completed. And then from that date to the date that they are substantially completed is the length of time that you have to say, well, you didn't fulfill your contract, we're charging you back.
I think it's 500 today.
500, I want to say 500 today, but I didn't want to misspeak on camera, so.
So what
But I
does
believe
this set the
that's
date
right.
to? What was
January
this?
31st.
And then after that, they are we can contractually start billing them for us not being in the building, is what this is saying.
Yeah, this is just saying that according to what they're
They're gonna owe
presenting,
us a lot of money.
in the grand scheme of things, no, but in
How much is
layman's
it
terms,
costing us
yes.
to keep them on site this much longer?
I'm sorry.
How much is it keeping us to keep them on site and every day that this goes longer for us?
There could be an extended contract request from our architect for the scope of the project exceeding his contracted timeline.
Yes.
That's
And-
potential.
The architect's contract states that if the project goes beyond 90 days of the contractual completion date, they have the right to come back and assess us additional fees. So we're kind of in a catch-22. We extend this for the contractor and it lessens the number of days that we can charge them because we're giving them more time legally, which we know they're still not gonna meet. But it also, if we withhold that so that we can charge the contractor more, that gives the architect opportunity to say, oh, well, they're well above the 90 days of their legally completion date. Let's go in and add our fees, and I'll tell you this, the architect fee per day will far exceed the amount that we can collect back from the contractor.
Will this does this extend just for the contractor though, or for the architect too?
It would extend, basically it sets the contractual end date.
Yeah.
And if the project exceeds 90 days past the contractual end date, then the architect would have the right to come back and say, I need more money. So approving this lessens the architect's opportunity to
Right.
charge us.
Are they requesting it? Is the architect or that's
This
what,
is the contractor asking for more days.
right, that's what I mean, but for that, we have a contract with the now, you all straighten me out on this if I'm wrong. We have a contract with the architect
Separate AI.
that says, my time ends here.
Mhm.
By us doing this, does that have anything to do with him, or he's gonna say, that's
No,
that's
what-
between you and
No,
Branch,
It does.
It does?
It does affect
Okay.
the architect, but the way, what it does, it forces the architect to stay on the job longer without charging.
Okay,
Because they are bound to the contractual end date. And if you extend the contractual end date, they have to live with it. If you don't extend the contractual end date and we go past it, they legally have a right in their contract to ask for more money.
And that's why Boomerang, if you look, has agreed or disagreed with these days that the contractor requested.
yeah, oh, okay.
You know,
Thank you.
and the bottom line is, we know, and Mike Love admitted it, the schedule is
It's not
wrong.
moving target.
So do we need to table this till December, see what they bring next week? Which still leaves us the option to go ahead and approve it in December, but we can see if they're true to their word of having it under where it needs to be December 1st. Or December 8th.
Ultimately, yes, that is your call. There's nothing
Is there-
financial in this change order, like the one that that I asked that we continue to pursue last month, so that we don't have subcontractors coming up saying, you're defaulting, I can't get my payment. I wanted to make sure last month that the money was flowing. This is just days, and this is just a legal end date. So if you want to table it to see how they fare with a roof, and, now, the other thing, if you go through the documentation that Rob did provide, one of the questions was about additional delays. And Branch came out and said, we cannot say that there will not be additional delays due to weather. We cannot, they went on record writing it saying, no, we're not even touching it. So, my thing is, this is what they've documented as of now. Actually, this was as of August. And they'll probably come back with some more, especially now that we're hitting winter. There's gonna be more inclement weather days, even if they get it under roof.
Let me just make a point. The last meeting when we tabled this, it was following my recommendation, based on information from legal counsel, that we needed more details regarding the soil nailing days requested. So
It's here.
they provided it to us in depth.
So we need
Mr.
that.
Mr. Henning was comfortable with it, and he says that they have satisfied his inquiry in terms of more documentation to support those days, so
Right.
it would be my recommendation we approve it.
Okay.
Jeff, you said that they're probably gonna come back with more weather days. There's weather days built into that. Are they counting those, or are they
No,
adding?
they have to live with the weather days that are in the contract. The only thing that they can
Above and
ask for,
beyond.
so it's based on the average from NOAA weather.
Right.
And so the month of October, and I'll just throw this out there, the month of October may say historically, according to the NOAA data, they can claim 6 days. Well, if they end up with 10, they can come to us and say, we need 4.
Yeah.
They can't claim the 6 that's in the contract.
It ought to be that we split the difference, because we're not responsible for the weather either.
Yes.
But, okay, well, do we have any other questions, concerns that we wanna voice? All right, Dr. Brickman recommends that we approve the change order, and as Jeff presented, Jeff, thank you.
Thank you.
And we don't mean to help you with it, because we,
Oh, no,
said what we just,
I understand,
we appreciate the knowledge you have on that. So with that, could I have a motion for approval of the change order?
I move that we approve it.
Thank you, Jane. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Pat. Any other discussion? All in favor? All right. Thank you, Jeff.
And please understand, we do question. Whenever they
Oh, I
bring this
know.
to us, Dr. Brickman and I, we'll sit them down and say, explain it, tell us. And there's some stuff that we tell them no, and we don't even bring it. We're just like, no, we're not even taking that to the board, so, we're just not accepting whatever they say.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. And it really, that was just from my,
Yeah.
from my own, I didn't mean to belabor any of that, keep us going longer, but, Jeff, you're still up to
Still
bat
right.
for the next couple on the capital outlay maintenance update.
I'll make this one quick. I just provided you an update on the capital outlay report. The only thing that's changed with the projects is, we did complete the install of the AC/heating units at Tech Services. Those have been installed, and they are, as far as I know, they are functioning. If not, we might have a little bit of electrical work to complete, but everything is there. And then, we tracked down the playground equipment, for pre-K playgrounds has been completed. We have ordered our first load of mulch, to be placed at Crossmore Elementary. We expect a delivery of that anytime, for them to be, working on Crossmore's playgrounds, before winter. and then the rest are slated to be worked on, after winter. The playground inspector did come around, looked at everything, and he suggested that we take care of Crossmore's before winter, that it needed additional mulch. Everybody else would be good until the winter months was over, and then we need to go back and top those off. And then at the bottom, I've updated the maintenance summary request, and I know last month when I presented this to you, I did it based on at the end of the school year, because this was the first time that we had discussed the maintenance work orders since we started a new fiscal year. For this one, I've just based it on a month, and I'll try to do it month to month to month, so you'll see this is what was open, this is what's come in, this is what now remains. And it is just a coincidence that the amount of work orders that come in this month was 49, and the amount that are left open are 49. It's not that we haven't, the boys haven't done anything, it's just that, because if you look down how they're divided out amongst the maintenance workers, you'll see, they've received more work orders this month than they have left open, so, you know, but that's just how work orders are flowing. So,
All right,
that's that report.
thank you.
Thank you.
And, next is our
Can I
budget
ask a
amendment.
can I ask a
Oh, sure.
question? On the playground inspections, do they write those up? Are there documents that
They
they write up?
do provide us a summary report. If you'd like a copy of it, I can certainly email it to the board.
I don't have to have it,
Yeah.
I just wondered if
Yeah,
there are other things that the schools need to be doing in addition to. mulch.
typically what the playground inspection report, what he looks at is the equipment, and he'll, determine if there's any bolts that need to be tightened, any screws missing, any, materials that need to be replaced, and then he also looks at the mulch to make sure that the
And this is who?
thickness. It is from a Surrey Insurance Company.
Oh, so it's an
Yeah.
insurance person?
It's a service provided through, Surrey Insurance where we get our, boiler and auto and workers' comp. They have a risk assessment, gentleman who's retired from the state, and as a service to their clients, they send him out to do, inspections
Thank
for
you.
free. Well, I'm sure we pay for it. It's
You do.
no extra charge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
saves them money on insurance too.
Yes.
Jeff, thank you, you worked and with the tech people and got those vape detectors, and I appreciate that. But in the email, you said that something had to be done with the technology people or something on their end. Could you elaborate on that? Y'all got them in, but said something else.
They're- The vape detectors are they're cloud-based technology. They're basically similar to what you would see with the wireless security camera.
Uh-huh.
And so, Eric has installed the vape detectors at the high school. The last step of that process is getting the cloud server with the vendor established and set up so that notifications come to the principal's phone.
Okay, so
So
that's
we just-
similar to what, I guess, they have to do the drive and stuff like that. Yeah.
So basically, we've got to coordinate a time with tech services and administration to sit down with their devices, have everything registered and set up so that anything detected will be alerted.
I appreciate technology and y'all getting on that for me. I appreciate that. And I know that Ricky and them appreciate that too.
Any other questions for Jeff on capital outlay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
And lastly, Jeff, budget.
Budget amendment. All right, we'll make this one quick as well. The only thing that I'm bringing before you tonight for budget amendment is in capital outlay. Mr. Nelson gave you a concise update of the roof project. The roof project funding was not in our original budget resolution. The reason for that is it was not part of the county's original budget resolution. It was a budget amendment on their end. So I felt it would be, we needed to make that a budget amendment on our end as well, just to be consistent between both parties. So ultimately, it's $1.5 million that we're adding to the capital outlay budget. Just to make you aware, $350,000 of that project is coming out of the lottery funding. The county has appropriated just a little over $1 million toward the project, and if you'll remember, they did ask if we would fund up to $200,000 out of fund balance. So, excuse me, at this present time, we need to put $120,000 toward the project to have everything above board. The final 80, because we did agree, we said 200,000, the final 80, Mr. Nelson mentioned to you that we had a pre-bid meeting. We've got bids coming up at the end of November for the grading. That's the estimated cost of $80,000. Since we don't have a final cost on that, we've not budgeted that yet. We will, once we get open the bids, determine how much that project or that sub-project will actually cost, and we'd come back and finalize the Crossmill Roof project budget. And hopefully it will come in under the 80. We'll wait and see.
Mr. Chairman, can I just take this a moment and just lift up our sincere gratitude for our county commissioners in funding this project when we did.
Absolutely.
I think our savings now is substantial with the cost of materials now compared to when this went out to bid.
Amen.
So we're very grateful for our tremendous support we continue to receive from our county manager and county commissioners. So I'd like to go on record saying that, sir.
Thank you.
And I recommend the board approve the budget amendment as presented.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Britton. Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Jeff. Could I have a motion for approval of the budget amendment?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Kathy. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jane. Any other discussion, questions? All in favor? Thank you. Jeff, thank you very much.
Jeff,
Thank you, sir.
auditors will be here.
Next month.
Next month.
They're on the
Thank you.
schedule for December.
What was that,
Thank you.
Jane?
Auditors.
Oh, auditor. Oh, thank you.
And Stephanie has the audit book,
Okay.
so if anybody would like to go ahead and take theirs with them tonight, I'm gonna put her on call to get that to you. Those of you that would rather wait till December, that's fine.
Okay.
But we do have it came in last week, so.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
if we could get it
Thank you.
now, and that way if they have questions for the contract.
Thank you very much. And with that, could I have a motion to move to closed session?
I make a motion to go into closed session.
Thank you, Kathy. Second.
I'll second. Pat,
You can.
we go together. Pat and I go
I got
together.
that last time, I'll get you this
Uh,
time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us again online tonight, and we look forward to a very happy Thanksgiving for you and your families. Thank you.